So now that you guys are engaged and planning a wedding, we're now in a worldwide pandemic of the coronavirus. How has the pandemic affected your wedding plans?
Yeah, so actually we were supposed to have our wedding a week from today. It was going to be out of state. I guess it was a smaller sized wedding, but we were still going to have, several people come celebrate with us. And we ended up deciding, I guess a couple of months ago now, to postpone our wedding to next June 2021. So hopefully that will still go as planned. It'll just be a year later, but we still wanted to be able to keep our original wedding date, and we still wanted to go ahead and get married. So we decided to go ahead and officially get married on our original date, just here locally with just a few close relatives and friends and our pastor. And then we'll still have the big wedding a year from now, and that'll be our big celebration, but at least we can still go ahead and officially tie the knot.
So the wedding, it's going to be in a week or so?
Yeah, it's going to be a week from today.
And where's it going to be?
We're going to get married on the beach. The beach we're going to go to is called Alligator Point. It's about an hour outside of Tallahassee, Florida, which is where we live. So.
Very nice. And your original plans, where were you originally supposed to get married?
Our venue for our original wedding is in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's at a really beautiful chapel. It's called St. Catherine's of Bell Gable. So that's the one that got postponed. We'll still be getting married there or having our bigger celebration there, but now it's going to be June 2021.
So were your wedding vendors pretty understanding when it came to kind of rearranging things?
I'd say, yeah. They're all worked with us very well and understood.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were pretty awesome. We ran into a couple of obstacles, but I think people were trying their best to be accommodating and do the best they could. And so we really appreciated that. I think we ended up with some good vendors.
That's amazing. So what about your wedding guests? How have they kind of handled the situation? Have they kind of been there for you and been supportive?
Yeah, definitely. I hated to, send that message and make those phone calls and reach out to people and tell them after they had been planning on traveling, to our wedding that, look, it's going to be pushed back. I was hoping nobody would be, irritated about it, but everyone, I think, was super supportive. And
yeah, I didn't have anything bad said to me at all.
Yeah, I think most people actually were glad that we made the decision because even though maybe they had to change some plans, it's the safest option right now. So yeah, everybody was really supportive and awesome.
That is great. So what were your biggest challenges that you've had to deal with, like positive or negative experiences that you've had to deal with when trying to basically rearrange a wedding and do two weddings basically now?
I would say money was definitely one of the bigger ones because I think we still wanted the smaller ceremony to still include a lot of the things that, I always envisioned on my wedding day. So we're still going to have a cake. It's just smaller. We're still going to have flowers. It's just not near as many of them. And we're still going to have a photographer, just not for all day. So those things still added up. I mean, it was definitely, a good amount of money we weren't planning on adding to the wedding budget because we already have the actual wedding or the bigger wedding budgeted, but we just had to talk about it. And, I decided this is still a once in a lifetime thing. And since, even though the first wedding ceremony would be small, I still wanted it documented. I still wanted it to be really pretty and I wanted to have the things. So I had to definitely, cut some things that I knew we couldn't afford to have for both years, but there were some things I really wanted to hold on to. So I think that was hard. What else?
Just the stress of actually having to make the decision to postpone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think just making that decision was really hard and stressful because we wanted to make it early enough where we could give people a heads up if they needed to, cancel flights or, change their hotels and things like that. So we didn't want people scrambling last minute, but it was also like if we made the decision too early, maybe things would start getting better. Maybe the number of cases in our area and in Arkansas would start decreasing, and we could have actually had the wedding if we had just waited a little longer. So I think choosing a date or a deadline to make a decision was really hard, but it worked out.
What would you say is your most important thing that you want at your wedding?
At the ceremony next week or at the bigger wedding next year? Or
I guess in general, like what's like your number one thing you would say you'd want at your wedding?
I know mine. What's yours?
Just friends and family. I guess would be the only thing that I really care about that much.
Yeah, we definitely wanted everyone to be there, but especially, our close family and friends and our dog, and just, I think the presence of people being there, I think, was the big thing that we wanted to make sure to happen. And I think it was more likely that was going to happen if we pushed it back a year.
Yeah. So even though you've had to change your wedding plans, I know that you two are still getting married in Florida. And a week from now, who is planning on attending your Florida beach wedding, essentially?
We have Patrick's mom and dad are coming down. My sister and my niece are coming. One of my close friends who lives here in Tallahassee is going to be there. And then our pastor and our photographers. That's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. And obviously social distancing is a big thing. Have you considered how you're going to go about doing that? How you're going to, I guess basically kind of keep everybody safe while you're there?
Yeah, we talked for a little while about masks. I know people are getting married around this time and they're wearing them, but we've tried to do the best research we could on current recommendations and what the safest types of settings are. And so since we're going to be outside on a beach and easily able, this is really not ever a crowded beach as many times as we've been there. So I think easily able to stay 6 feet apart. I think we're going to forego the masks for the actual ceremony, and just try to keep our distance, even though that's hard when you have relatives there that you don't ever get to see. But we're going to definitely keep safety as our priority. And then we'll be going to have dinner afterwards. We won't do technically a reception like we'll be doing next year, but when we go eat dinner, we've chosen a restaurant that has outdoor seating and limited seating. So again, that'll be another way of just, keeping our distance. I think we're probably going to be wearing masks into the restaurant, especially when we're walking through the indoor part, and then we can just take them off when it's time to eat. But
yeah. Are you going to wear some masks when you're doing your photos?
No, I thought it might be actually kind of, I don't know, maybe a good idea to do it for some of them, just to document this crazy time we're going through. But I was like, no, it's going to take me 3 hours to do my makeup. I don't want to try to mess it up during my photos.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Your Florida wedding is a week from now. How are you feeling about everything, how everything's kind of come together?
Good. Yeah, everything kind of came together smoothly after we made the decision. So yeah, we're ready for it. Just a couple small minor details to iron out, I guess.
Yeah, I think good. It's it was kind of a time where I had been planning, and then I kind of stopped for a while or put that on hold because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So then when we realized, okay, the wedding is back on, but it's a different type of wedding, I did still have some things that I needed to plan. So but I just tried to do those as I could and work on it a little every day, and I think we'll be set to go.
So if you could offer any kind of advice of other people that are going through the similar situations, because obviously there's many people going through this, what kind of advice would you want to offer? A message of hope or advice or anything that could be helpful for people who are kind of doing the same thing you guys are doing? You go first.
I guess just take into account everyone's safety and just make sure you try to plan according to and make your plans according to that, because you don't want to put anyone at risk. That would just be a huge weight on your shoulders if anything happened, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I would add to that, even though it's much easier said than done, try to be flexible. Just try to keep in mind This whole situation is really terrible, but it's also, a lot of it's out of our control. We can't really know from one day to the next what's going on or what's going to happen. So just try to kind of come to terms with that and just know, hey, I might make a decision today that I might have to change next week or tomorrow, and just try to be as okay with that as you can, and just, try to stay flexible and positive.
Is there anything else that you've learned going through this experience?
Just I think it served as a reminder of just how unpredictable life can be. Even sometimes when you've taken months to plan out. I mean, really, when you're planning a wedding, you plan almost down to the second of what is going to happen that day. Here's where people are going to stand. Here's what people are going to wear. This is what the cake's going to be. And you can think all you want that when you make plans that detailed that they're just going to all go perfectly. But I think it's just been a good reminder that we don't ever know what life's going to throw at us. But again, I think if you stay positive as you can, even though it is a really stressful time and a sad time, you'll be able to get through it. And your wedding day might not look how you planned. I know ours won't for either of our ceremonies, but we're still going to make the best of it, and it'll be a great day either way.
If you would like to hear more stories like Sonya and Patrick's, please don't forget to subscribe below. Thanks again for joining me. I'll see you next time. Stay safe, remember social distancing, and follow your government's guidelines on the COVID-19 pandemic.